bids are in, the gavel is dropped. Ladies and gentlemen, here at WineBid's, we are finally hammered. That's right. This is WineBid's podcast dedicated to all things wine value, wine retail, wine auctions, and just wine. With you as always, I am Jeff McGurn from the WineBid marketing team. And of course, always have with me my wonderful friend and our wine expert, also known as the Elder of En Premier. That's right, Paul Walker. He is our wine expert. And today we're going to be talking about the wines. You're
really
France.
Going for it these days.
I'm really going for it these days. Question is, when will I run out of weird things to say?
I don't think you ever will, actually. I somehow don't think you ever will. You're a marketing genius. So.
Oh, go on. Tell me more. We're going to be talking about some of the French wine we have coming to auction this week and stuff that we're keeping an eye on. There's a lot of interesting stuff coming in from France. I want to start where we always start, which is...
Can I make a quick sort of public service announcement? Because I like to do this these days. I should mention that we like to review as much as possible from all over the place, but we don't always get a chance to review all the wines that we pick from each auction. In fact, I know for a fact I'm not going to get through the 389 selections that I have for this week. So the best thing is to check the blog on the website, because we do list our picks every week on WineBid's blog. It's the news link at the bottom of the page. Anyway, just wanted to mention that, Jeff, before we start. And don't forget to check the auction also after Monday for new wines, because I noticed as I was making my picks on Sunday night that things were being added as I was selecting different things. And so new wines get added on Monday and sometimes Tuesday and Wednesday. For the most part, they're added by late Monday or Tuesday. So anyway, just a note to check new wines being added each week. And go ahead. Sorry.
All right. Let's jump into the Bordeaux, right? There's some interesting Lafite. There's an 86 mag of Lafite for $1,900. I thought that was interesting to see, not like a epic vintage or anything, but
that's good though. That's a great
stuff,
vintage,
right?
That's great Lafite. It's really, really good.
Probably overshadowed by like late 80s and early 82 and then like 89 and 90, but still great stuff. And there's also a 6-bottle wood case of mags of 2010 Lafite for $96.90, which is really only $807 per
750 milliliter. Yeah.
Per 750 milliliter. Yes. Thank you for helping me get that out. I mean, the reason I really mention this is because, we're seeing Lafite come up and up and up on Premier, and I know obviously you're the elder of En Premier, so you really know this stuff. But
this is the strangest descriptor yet, because I don't buy futures, for one thing.
It's not I don't know why people call you that, but
I think you're the only one. But anyway,
that's your name.
No, you're right.
My name.
2010, a 10,000 for a 6-pack mags. 2010 it's not an insane price, even if it seems like a real serious number. It's that's a great vintage, and it'll last a bunch of years more in that format, and it's in the original wood box, so that's very collectible.
I mean, and the price isn't crazy, right? Like, that's not, I wouldn't call it cheap, but it's not out of line. I was just actually, while we were chatting, I'm looking at what the 2022 Premier came out at, but let's just say, I think it was right around there. It might have even been a little bit more expensive. Lafite Rothschild, 750 was, $759.
Yeah. So
you're not even looking, you're looking at an extra $50, not even $50, $42 plus, commissions and stuff. So I just didn't think that was crazy. I think those will go the distance. 2016 Duclos case collection, I thought was really interesting.
You were curious about the cardboard boxes last week, Jeff. Now you have now you have the chance to buy one and get your very own individual cardboard boxes that come with, and as well as the wooden box that contains all those cardboard boxes.
So exciting. OCC. these OCC first growth Bordeaux's. I thought that one was really interesting. Another one that was interesting was this 86 3-liter of Mouton for $6,400. I thought that one was kind of a cool.
Yes, that is so phenomenally good. That wine is just astoundingly great. I had it not too long ago, and it's just unbelievably good. It was always overshadowed by the 82, but I think it's a longer term wine. It's a little bit bigger framed at this point.
Serious
structurally.
wine.
So it's amazing. That's just an amazing bottle.
Let me ask you this: between that, because we also have a 3-liter 82 Latour.
Yeah.
For $7,000. I mean, between that and the 3-liter Mouton,
I'd take that's a tough one. That's the 82 Latour is phenomenal. So it's different category. Well, I don't know, man. That's a really hard question. Because the 82 Latour is 7,000, right? So
only $600 more, and we actually have 2 mags.
No. The 86 Mouton 3-liter is 3,400. It's double the price. It's double the price.
I thought the Mouton 3-liter was $6,400.
No, it's 3,400.
Oh, I must have mistyped that. Okay, then at 3,400, I feel like that's an even better deal, right?
Yeah, I mean, 82 Latour is kind of a legendary wine. I mean, not that 86 Mouton is any sort of lesser wine, but yeah, that's a tricky one.
Well, and
I saw the 90 Latour mag. There's 3 of them, probably from the same box. I'm not sure. Don't quote me, but anyway, 3 of those is $1,600 a piece. That's something I would love to buy and drink, because the 90 is just incredibly good.
Well, we've also have, I believe we've got, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong here, we've got 2 mags of the 82 Latour at 26.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
And it's
quite a bit less than the 3-liter, but 3-liter is super. That's a tough one to find. That's not going to be easy to replace if you do need to. I
mean, I have a ton, so I know if you need any.
Well, now you can open one and have backup to fill the gap there.
I got a room just cases and cases of Latour 82 3-liters. I mainly use it to gargle like mouthwash.
If you did, I don't think you'd be hosting this podcast trying to sell it for some reason.
I know, right? Exactly. There's a ton of Lynch badge coming into auction.
Yeah.
82s, 83s, 88s.
Yeah, and multiple bottles. So again, this is like where, with recent sort of external auction hammers, if we don't, have current auction prices, we'll update pricing on the appraisal to sort of show where it's going for. So with multiple bottles from multiple vintages, what I'm trying to say is that there's a good chance you can score these without them getting just bid up through the stratosphere, because it's not like there's just a single one that's everyone's going after. So yeah, lots of great choices from a fantastic seller of all the collectible vintages, really. 2020
Dechem Y, which already has 2 bids on it. Start at 135, it's 155. That one, I wouldn't mind getting my hands on some Y. We don't see it that often. It's a super interesting wine. Obviously, it's the dry wine from Dechem, but that one I thought was super interesting. And
it's kind of funny because we always mention the really expensive white wines from Bordeaux, and they tend to be quite a bit more, at least double that. I think the Dechem Y is a different kind of wine. It's not, I wouldn't put it in the same category as like a Grave, white. They're not at all remotely the same, but it is, you're right, it is sort of a rarity and a sort of luxury product, if you will, just being associated with the chateau, and good, excellent stuff too. I think I had the 2020 not too long ago, but it doesn't seem that expensive, especially next to like great vintage of the Dechem. There's 89 in this week, by the way, for $390. That's amazing stuff. But yeah, cool to see that, Greg.
It's a really cool bottle. Community average value is 156. So I think even at the 155, that's still a pretty fair price for the
Are you quoting Seller Trackers community average value, Jeff?
and CTs.
Want to make sure we don't get in trouble for using a trademarked term from a
Is that
fellow
trademark?
online database, if you will.
Doesn't say trademark. We've got the '09 Lamason Aubryon for MAG 1140. I thought that one was super interesting. I mean, you're looking at, '09 wasn't like the best year ever in Bordeaux, right? Like
That was an awesome year, though.
It was an awesome year, but it's not like 2010, right? 2010, I
don't know. I think the '09s were. I mean, it's different style. I think the 10s were bigger tannins, structurally longer lasting wine. But I don't know. I think the '09s taste better. That's just me.
There you go. Paul Walker thinks '09 is a superior vintage to 2000.
Well, it is. It's tasting better now. I'm not saying it's going to last as long as 10.
No, that's what you just said.
No, I didn't. I said 10 was structurally probably it's a larger framed wine overall, depending on who's making it. But '09s are fleshier and flashier. They're delicious.
See, this is why you're the wine expert, right? You know things like structure and fleshier. And
it's all subjective.
Like spoof-related terms.
It's all subjective.
We've got a bunch of Pichon, Longueville, Comtesse de Lalonde.
Yeah, you can just say Pichon Lalonde. That's all you have to say.
I say
what you mean.
It's free country. I say whatever I want, Paul. Don't tell me what to say.
Hey, I'm the expert. I'm trying to educate you. Remember?
I'm uneducatable. I feel like you should know that by now.
I did know that. So I
see exactly. So 82 Pichon Lalonde, 690.
I wonder how that's drinking, because that wine's, the value, as you know, has always been way pushed up because of Parker. He came out with that 100-point score years and years ago. I think it was probably re-rated at 100 points as well. So he kind of held on to that. And so therefore, it's far and away the most expensive Pichon Lalonde, I think, of, unless you go, way back or something. But it's great. It's excellent wine. I've had it a few times, but I don't know, considering 82s, some of them are getting a little, let's just say, mature. If it's still really rocking, but because the 86 is an amazing wine, and it's less than, it's almost a quarter, a third of the price.
If I'm looking at the last like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tasting notes, I mean, they consistently, out of those 6 tasting notes, 5 of them say this is an amazing bottle. Right?
It's good. It's really, really good. I haven't had it for a while, but it's very, very good. 86 though, I have had recently, and it's awesome. I mean, it's not feeling like it's losing steam or power whatsoever.
Well, so what's interesting is like one of the people says like, supposed to be amazing wine, number 9 on Steven Spurrier's from, Bottle Shock fame, Judgment of Paris fame, number 9 on his 100 wines to try before you die. It says, honestly, I'd have been okay going through life without drinking this, especially at its current price. So interesting to hear that. But everybody else seems to say it's a pretty epic wine. But
yeah, the 88's only 150. Speaking of other vintages of Pichon Lalonde that you can get for deals. And that wine is fantastic. So, I mean, it's not as good as the 86, but still, there's some value in some of those other vintages that didn't get the same level of, laudatory congratulations like the 82. It is really, really good. There's also a full case, you see, of the 86 for $28.80, or at least when I pulled my data from the site.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of good Lalonde coming into auction. And I mean, this is one where I guess I still feel like there's some good value in this when you compare this to other second growths and even the first growths, because, ones like the 82 notwithstanding, they're still coming in around, you can still get them for $150, $200, right? Maybe it's not, the most epic vintage, ever, but you look at tasting notes on like that 88, and the tasting notes are still pretty strong for the 80.
Yeah, it's great wine.
Right. Like people are rating it. And if you take these sort of objective metrics they're using, it's not coming in too far behind or subjective metrics they're using. It's not coming in too far behind some of the other ones.
I don't think those either.
So
Objective or subjective measurements.
Objectively more subjective.
I don't listen to them. No, I would say listen to your own palate, buy different vintages and, see what you like and try them blind together. That, like, same thing with the Lynch Bodge, right? There's multiple bottles of almost, I think, every vintage. I just flag, single vintages, but I know there's multiple lots from each vintage. So yeah, great selection of fantastic Bordeaux this week. Should we keep things moving along here? We're lagging a little bit.
Yeah. 1990 Gerard LaRose for 170. I thought that one was actually a pretty decent deal. 82 Canon for 375. Especially when you juxtapose that against the Pichon Lalande. A 1999 Le Pin Mag for 4,800. I thought that was interesting to see. Because we don't see a Le Pin come along all the time. Like, you don't get a ton of Le Pin moving through auction because it's fairly rare. You do get it, but then to see a mag, I thought was really, really interesting. And maybe 99 is not the most amazing year in Bordeaux, but it's still bottle of Le Pin. We had a bunch of cool Sauterne in auctions. 83 Sudereau for 66, 89 Riesec for 75. 89 Sudereau for 65.
Yeah, I mean that's a phenomenal vintage, and you can see like where scores really make a difference in this. Where you see like 01s get these huge scores, and they're way more. I'd buy 89 Riesec all day before I'd bought the 2001, just because it's drinking now and it's a phenomenal vintage, and it's $75 reserve, so go for it.
Like nothing. I mean, it'll last you like a month. I mean, depending on how much you drink. Probably lasts you like 30 minutes, but anybody else it will last a while.
And I'm a sweet tooth, so yeah.
I love sweet things. What other Bordeaux am I missing here, Paul?
Yeah, no, we touched on a lot of the stars. I think there's the 2000 Cheval Blanc Mag, a couple of those, 1740, 18 Clerc Milan at 100 again. I think some of these 18s are still, good values. Clerc Milan obviously got shot up since, years ago, but $100 for the 18 didn't seem crazy to me. 98 Aubryon at 615. I always mention that wine because I think it's amazing. 05 La Fleur Petrus, 3 of those at 200. 89 La Folie Perrier at 60 is another, phenomenal vintage Sauterne. That's not expensive. La Femme Rocher 18 Magnum at $100. That's another great deal. Drink well over the next 10, 20 years. It's not expensive. 1940 Lanasan. Did you see that bottle? I thought that was pretty interesting for 1940. It's $135. Not sure. Doesn't ring a bell as being a very good vintage, but it is a pretty wildly rare bottle that you could find for somebody for, anniversary or birthday or whatever. 19 Langoa Barton, 2 of those at 51 a piece. Another great deal from recent, high scoring, solid vintage Bordeaux, or even great vintage. 09 Latour Martillac at $60. 03 La Ville Aubryon Blanc, a couple of those for 200. Just thought it was cool. It's kind of hard to find. Not sure that wine's great, anymore, but still, it's for what it is. It seemed like a pretty decent deal. 2000 Bon Pasteur 105, 89 Legay from 165. I thought that was great price for Right Bank. Well, yeah, it's a phenomenal Right Bank vintage.
So. Yeah, that one looks really good, and it didn't seem. I mean,
it's hard to find, especially 80s vintages. Not easy. 82 Level Barton, 225, 19 Level Barton. Again, under $100 for Level Barton. Recent release seems like a deal. $95 for the 19. 96 Las Casas at 245. Didn't seem terrible. 18 Level Poiffre at 125. So again, I just think it's fun to pick out these, recent vintage examples that are not too expensive. Mention all the vintage Lynch Bodge. There's also 16 at 140. 88 Margaux, 435. I didn't think that was a terrible price. And then there's a mag of 90, which is awesome. That's just a phenomenally great wine. So some of my favorite Bordeaux from all time in this week. 14 Pavie Macun, 70, 16, 75. Those are great deals. 18 Ponte Canet 200. Didn't think that was such a great deal, but it's probably the 100 points pushing that up.
I feel
So,
like Ponte Canet recently has been getting a little bit of flack.
well, I mean, it's, it got pushed up with some of these 100-point scores. Some people didn't think it deserved, but what are you going to do?
Buy it or not buy it. One of those two things.
Another great deal, 18 Chateau Siron, $31 for the 18. The 19's at 40.
Already got bids.
Yeah. 19's only at 40, and there's mags of the 19 for 125, which doesn't really make sense. But there you go. 19 Smith at Lafitte at 100. I think that was terrible. 16 Sociano Malais, 46 got a bid. Yeah, the 83, 89 Sudero. 05 Trolon Mondot, 230. That's a lot, but not terrible for, I think those wines will probably continue to go up. It'd be interesting to see where this Duclos collection hammers. So I think we had a set of the 2010, and I think it went for 10,000 maybe a couple of years ago. So the 16 doesn't seem terrible at 77.40, and you get, some pretty crazy wines in there. It's not just first draws. There's Petrus and Cheval Blanc and Decam, so it's pretty amazing. And some great costs. There's some 86, 89 in 2016, which I thought was great. The 89 to me is the best deal at 155. It's incredibly good wine. And that rounds up my Bordeaux picks for this week.
Let's really quickly run through Burgundy and the rest of France, shall we? I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the 3 bottles of Domaine Romani Conti coming to auction. We've got a 14 Echezot for $22.80, 07 Grand Echezot, Grands Echezot for $2,700, and an 11 Saint Vivant for $2,800, or Romani Saint Vivant for $2,800. Got a 2015 Coche de Riz Oxy de Resses with one bid on it, going from 200 to 210 now. This 2017 Domaine Laflave Bourgogne Blanc, 2 bids have taken it from 100 to 120. And then, of course, we've got 2020 Domaine Laflave Bourgogne Blanc that has 4 bids, taking it from 85 to 89. Question is, will that break 100? And if it does, will Paul drink an entire box of Franzia Sunset Blush?
I'm not gonna make that bet again, because 2020 is a strong Whiteberg vintage, so I would not be surprised if that went to 100.
That peaks above. A lot of action in Burgundy, continuing with a 2016 Domaine du Jacques Chambois Moussini for 1 bid has taken 145 to 155. We have a bunch. What's that?
I was just repronouncing Chambol.
That's what I said. We've got a bunch of We've got the Bourgogne with 4 bids taken from 75 to 130.
What Bourgogne? Say it again.
The Georges Minoret Bourgogne.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, the 16.
Yeah, 2016.
Wait, it was at 70. It started at 75.
Yeah, so if that gets up to 100, will you drink another box?
No, that's wait, past what?
It's 130 now, actually.
Yeah, it's not going to go to 200. I'll make some silly bet, but I don't think it's going to go to 200.
No, I said if it goes above 100.
It already has. It's at 130.
Okay, well then you should have made that bet. Okay, we've got a 2014 Minoret Nuit Saint Georges, which has 2 bids taken from 22. But there are 2 of them, so it's from 250 to 260. We've got 2017 Minoret Nuit Saint Georges Les Chagnot. 4 bids taken from 225 to 285. And then a Minoret Von Romani with 4 bids taken from 190 to 250. So the question is, do people like the Minoret wines? I guess is what I'm trying to understand. That was a joke, Paul. It's just a laugh at my jokes. I mean,
well, no, those
have bids.
All the 14s look cheap next to the the 18s and 19s. I mean, those are superior vintages, but 14s are excellent, and they just look inexpensive compared to the newer releases. When you see the 2020, I think Bourgogne Rouge was, I don't know, it was a couple $100 recently. So that's, it makes sense to pay closer to 300 for the 14, Premier Cru from Nuit Saint Georges, or even the Village Nuit Saint Georges. That's a relative deal, but yeah, serious wines, very, very, very good too.
I'll only mention two more and then I'll send it back over to you. I'm sure you've got a lot of Burgundy picks. 2017 Vincent d'Alsace Chablis La Forest Mag.
Dovisat, did you say?
Yeah. Okay. Dovisat Chablis La Forest Magnum, which I don't feel like we see a lot of mags.
It's a rare one. That's not a bad deal. That would probably get bid up to 400, I would imagine. If not, that's something to go after.
And then we've got this 2018 L'Ami Cayat Bourgogne Blanc for 210.
Yeah. That seems cheap, right? Compared to was it the 17 or 18 Bourgogne was like $600 or $500 or something? Yeah, L'Ami Cayat wines are insane, but yeah, 18 Bourgogne Blanc 210. For some reason that seems to be a relative value compared to some of the others. So
it didn't seem crazy to me for the L'Ami Cayat. What was I missing here?
Not a whole lot of other interesting things. I mean, there's a lot of interesting stuff, but there's some Rousseau, Clos de Chateau Gevrey, 18 at 430. There's a handful of Arnie Lachaud wines up again. Prices are kind of all over the place for those. 18 Charles Lachaud Gevrey Chambertin en Roniard at 900, which is pretty wild. And then 96 Charles Noillat Nuit Saint Georges didn't seem too bad at $85. Seemed like a relative value. Yeah, you mentioned that Coche de Rio Zedres 15. It was at 200. I guess it got bid up already, but that's kind of entry level pricing for Coche de Rio. 14 de Vogue Chameau Musigny Premier Cru 280. Looked interesting. 17 Lafon Claude Labar Merceau 210. 15 Arlo Bonmar. I saw a couple of those for 250. There's a bottle of Dauphiné Merceau Narvo, 98 for 38.50, which is wild. This price is like beyond Loire pricing and owned by the same person, obviously, but still crazy numbers for those wines. 19 Arlo Clos de Forêt Saint Georges at 105 looked cool. Yeah, a bunch of Dujac, including 19 Bonmar, 16 Chameau Musigny AC, Clos Saint-Denis 2020. Moray Saint-Denis and Premier Cruz from 16 and 17, 19 Moray Saint-Denis Village, Beaumont 19 as well. Some Fourier, Osèche Rousseau Vieille Vigne, Gervais Chambertin 13 for 200, and 13 Combo One, Gervais Chambertin at 195. Also Old Vines 14, Gervais Chambertin at 135. So not too crazy for some of those Premier Cru and Village wines from Fourier. Yeah, the Georges Moulinet wines are awesome. 17 Roumier Chameau Musigny at 425. Yeah, that Dovisat Magnum is really, I thought that was good. Seems like a relative deal, actually. Hard to find those things in large formats anywhere. 19 Gonu Volnay Clos de Chêne, a couple of those for 60 was interesting. Some inexpensive Chablis, a couple of producers I hadn't heard of, but then some others that are also good deals. Garnier, I don't know that producer, but Vaudésir 36 got a bid. Gilbert Peak Chablis de la Carrière 17 for 35. It was a great deal. Some JF Meunier wines, Chameau Musigny 17s 370, and 14 Clos de Marchal 140. There's some D'Angevy, Volnay, Clos de Duxo 6 165. Yeah, 15 Frommier 135. Yeah, Samuel Billot Chablis $20 for the 18 and the 19. Pretty good deals. Yeah, and that rounds out my Burgundy picks.
Let's move over to Alsace really quickly. We'll do a really quick tour around the country. There's some interestings in Umbrecht coming to auction, especially some SGNs. And
yeah, it looks like all late harvest stuff this week.
All late, yeah. Mostly, well, they've got like a Zin Umbrecht Riesling. They've got a couple of Rieslings. There's some stuff from Albert Boxler, Albert Mann. We've got some Riesling. One that I saw that I really like. I've had some of the older Paul Blancs, Gewürztraminers, and Rieslings. That's just really good. I mean, at $20 for 01. I bought a couple of those a while ago, and I think I even have the 01s. They're outstanding.
Yeah.
From my perspective. And then the other one I thought was interesting was there's some Pinot Noir from Alsace. So like Albert Boxler Pinot Noir and Pinot Noir in addition to the Riesling. And then there's an Albert Mann Pinot Noir, Claude de la Faye, and another one as well. I guess an Ostrich Pinot Noir. Just a bunch of Pinot Noirs from Alsace, which I have not had Pinot Noir from Alsace. I'm sure you have. I'm really curious what it's
actually I just bought one a couple of weeks ago because I was hearing about it on Levy Dalton's podcast. His guest who writes for was that Nouvelle Revue de France, I think. Can't remember his name, of course, but really well-known French critic. And he was talking about how Alsace is like horrifically sort of undervalued these days, with, you know, the few exceptions that get a lot of press and attention, like Clos Saint-Hune or whatever, which there is a bottle of the 08, in fact, this week. But anyway, yeah, I'm interested to try it and some others because they're great deals if they do make it to auction. You know, they're good deals for sure.
And then we've got Champagne. Let's head over to Champagne. 2016.
Yeah, lots of great stuff this week.
Lots of great stuff. 2016 Cedric Bouchard Blanc de Noir, Rosesse de Jean Presley. We got one of those for $3.15. I know.
You can say 16 Blanc de Noir. That's all I have to say.
I'll just say that. 07 Ailey Ore, Brut Grand Cru Villevin, with one bid taken from $275 to $285.
No, it's got a bid. Okay. Yeah, I didn't have a bid on Sunday night.
It's got a bit now. And then we've got this 02 Paul Roger Rosé with a bid on it, taken from 130 to 140. 02, great year. Love Paul Roger. And then the other one that I thought was interesting, I was curious if you know anything about this, the 75 Dutes Brut.
I didn't see that.
11 people keeping an eye on that Dutes Brut for 250. What did I miss here?
Yeah, no, there's some pretty interesting, super small production stuff. Collet Brut Rosé at 30 was a good deal. 92 Drapier, the Carte d'Or, one of those in at 145. 92's kind of it seems like a very obscure kind of off vintage, but anyway, that was an interesting one. Jacques Copinet, the Cuvée Marie Etienne Blanc de Blanc, it's got a bid. Had one at 56, might be more now. Some Jacques Solis wines in the what is it? Bout de Clos. There's also the Carrel, 645 and 670 respectively. There's also a Substance at 690. Some Krug, there's 164 multi-vintage and the 166 and 170 Grand Cuvées. Interestingly, the 164th is quite a bit more than the other two Grand Cuvée editions. It's a 335 for the 165. I think got really big scores or something. Anyway, the 166 is 230 and the 170 is 185. So they come down in price as they are more recent releases, which I think is kind of funny because I absolutely love the Grand Cuvée. It's just amazing. And I think for me, it's more complex than some of the vintage wines and not nearly as expensive. So anyway, there's some L'Amiable Cuvée Ferry, which I thought was a very interesting name because it's two E's, both with accent graves on them. So I'm kind of curious about that. I want to look it up. Never seen it. Anyway, that's $50. There's some 08 Cristal, 385. Just had some of the 04 over the weekend. It was amazing. So I thought the 08, probably a superior vintage, should be fantastic. 2011, another one I don't know, Michel Jacot Brut Cuvée Prestige at 85. There's some Philippinat Grand Cru, or the Grand Blanc, 02 for 110, and then the Brut Royal Reserves got some bids, 57. Yeah, it's trio of 02 Paul Roger, the Blanc de Blanc, Brut, and the Rosé, which is great. That stuff's awesome. Like Jeff said, really, really, really good vintage. And then Veuve Clicquot, there's a 08 Grand Dame. I'm sure that's phenomenal for 155. 12 vintage Brut at 85, and then 08 Rosé for 120. There's also 08 Veuve Dussault Cuvée Ernestine for 51. It's got a bid. And non-champagne, but I thought was interesting, is 13 Gusbourne Brut Reserve from England. I don't think we're going to have our own podcast about the English wines in this week, so I thought I would just throw that in with the champagne since there's a lot of sparkling from other parts of the world, but we don't see English sparkling that often. So anyway, a little aberration there from champagne.
Let's head over to Corsica. We've got a few Corsican wines.
Yeah, did you see this Clos Canarelli, the Amphora wine?
Wait, which one?
The
I mean,
18 Clos Canarelli. I was like, wow, $70 for this stuff. Must be
oh yeah.
crazy.
The Course Figari, Fora. I mean, and a lot of them have bids on them too, like the 17 Domaine Comte Abatucci Ajaccio Rouge, Faustine Villavine, that has a bid on it. The 2018 Domaine de Croci Bouteille Blanc has a bid on it. I mean, like a lot of these are getting bids. I mean, I'm not as familiar with Corsican wines. I know you're an expert, so you probably know this stuff front and back. But
I don't, because I'm not. But anyway,
but a lot. I mean, if you're interested in Corsican wines, there's a bunch of Corsican wines that just dropped this weekend. I mean, just for so people know, like we could go a month and get no wines from Corsica, and then
it's true. They don't come in that often.
They don't come in that often, and then you get like a bunch of wines dropped from Corsica. Let's go over to the Rhone just to sort of wrap up here.
Oh, you're not going to mention those 1932 and 1933?
No, what? Rhone? We're on the Rhone.
Only $200 for the 32 and $185 for the 33.
Yeah, but we're concluding with the Rhone.
Can't forget that.
Sorry, this is just the rules of the podcast.
There's nothing for the Rhone this week anyway. It's all it's all the usual suspects.
I mean, it is. I'll just
Rayo, Jamais, Simon Palette Rosé, Thierry
Jean-Louis Chav,
Tempier, and Jeff's definitely going to mention the Domaine Tempier that's in. So I'll save you the trouble and mention. You're going to mention the Guigal Corotis and the Hermitage.
I did. August Clap.
Lionel Fori, Tondrio, René Rostand, Coroti. Oh, there's some really cool Chateauneuf in this week, actually. The Rotem and Munir Sauma, which I've never ever had before. That's in this week. That was interesting to me just because you don't see it that often.
I saw the 05 Domaine de Bacau, Chateauneuf de Pape, Cuvée.
Oh, yeah. We did Bacau. Yes, we see that all the time.
Sorry, Paul. Sorry.
Just giving you some flack. There's some spendy Cornassa and 16 Clop Cornas Magnum.
I just mentioned that for 320. I thought that's some spending.
Yeah, because the Versailles, a 99 Versailles Cornas is 785. Yeah, serious stuff. But Guigal La Dorian, my favorite Condria, is in the 19's in at 70. Didn't think that was a terrible deal.
I just was trying to avoid mentioning.
So good.
I was specifically trying to avoid mentioning the Domaine Tempier. But because especially the Rosé,
everybody knows about it. It's not going to go unseen. They
don't need to remember that they know about it. Like the Rose, they have they have the Rosé.
People are just going to come to the site and type in Tempier and be like, "Oh, sweet, they've got some this week."
Maybe they'll misspell it. Maybe they'll misspell it and think they're.
It won't.
And I don't know.
It's a very well known establishment, and everybody.
It's so good. It's so good. But they have the Rosé in this week, and I think it might even already have a bid on. I love their Rosé.
Everybody does.
No, I discovered that. I feel like I introduced you to their rosé. You're like, is this any good? And
I visited Tempier when I was like barely 21. So, so there. Jeff. If you want to impress wine people, don't buy that. Buy the Chateau Simon rosé. That's rarer and gets more cred with the wine dorks than the Tempier, because everybody knows Tempier. It was like, it's Kermit Lynch's most famous import, for God's sakes.
I mean, well, look, I'm not trying to, unlike you, I'm not trying to impress anyone, right? Like I feel confident with who I am, although I
certainly don't. That's why I have to, constantly strive to impress wine dorks with obscure rosés and things.
We really need to work on your self-confidence.
We really do.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of work, though. We've got a long road ahead of us.
Hey, and I wanted to mention before we go, because we have to go. There's some Roulegui Blanc in this week, which is extremely rare, and I can't even pronounce it. It's so interesting. Arretxea. Good luck trying to pronounce that. And the name of it's Hegoxuri, Hegoxuri. Anyway. $25 for Roulegui Blanc. We do not see that very often. Also, there's a Theo Dancer Jurassique Sauvignon. There was actually some of this in like just a couple of weeks ago, but I feel like it's still pretty rare for Jura Sauvignon. You're not going to find it. And don't forget those reef salts I mentioned, 32 and 33, not expensive. And that's all I have for.
How dare you with a reef salt?
There's some Clos Rougeard, of course. 04, 09, 12.
How dare you with that too? I was like, maybe
again. It's just like
Paul,
Tempier. It's just like Tempier. Everybody knows Clos Rougeard. They're gonna be like, oh, sweet. They've got some. Beaufort is only 170. That'll probably get bid up. François Chidin, Montlouis, or Bournay. That's inexpensive.
You know, I said we're like friends at the beginning of the podcast. Like, I'm seriously reconsidering that now because you're mentioning all the stuff that I really like, and is off the beaten path. Nobody else really knows about it.
It's not.
Nobody knows about this thing.
None of the wines you mentioned are off the beaten path, except for Alsatian Pinot Noir.
I'm going with all the usual suspects. Well, they're not like they're not super mainstream, but yeah, people know about them. Okay, fine. People know about Clos Rougeard and they know about Domaine Tempier, but it's still really good.
Most certainly do.
Anyway, and with that, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Paul Walker and Jeff McGurn from WineBid's Finally Hammered, wishing you happy bidding and cheers.
Cheers.